I'd like to find out who leaked the papers. Was it Senator Feinstein? Because certainly her body language was not exactly very good when they asked her that question. So I would like to find out, as part of it, who leaked the papers? Which Democrat leaked the papers?
There we have it, the President of the United States on the trail. Good morning. Welcome to Monday. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio.
Did you leak the document? What? No. No. I didn't leak. Well, wait 1 minute. Did we leak? No, we didn't leak it.
There you have it, the one and only Donald Trump on the leakers. So when we last left you, it looked like the Senate was going to vote. We were good to go. We were at Mountain View High School having a good time. You might have heard the replay there a second ago. Just minding our own business, waiting for the Republicans to do the right thing. And once again, it was the bait and switch. We had Jeff Flake, who Sean Hannity had a great diatribe about him over the weekend on the Sean Hannity show. Flake decided he was going to flake, and he wanted this FBI investigation. So here we have it. Is the FBI investigation going to find anything? Most likely not. Are the Democrats going to be happy? Well, we know the answer to that. And it seems to me that no matter how much you malign, you destroy a good man, the beat continues. It's the same old game plan. And you can talk about Merrick Garland, you can talk about everybody else, but the bottom line here is we're not doing a service to the country. You know, many people say, well, why would Dr. Ford do this? I mean, did you find Dr. Ford compelling? Did you find Dr. Ford credible? And whether you know how this works, whether you go to a simple police report, if you launch a police report, if you file a police report, what do they say? Well, okay, it's your word against that person's word. And as I was watching Fox News Sunday, Lindsey Graham talking about this, when Lindsey Graham said, you know, you could go to any prosecutor in the office in the country, any prosecutor's office in the country, and nobody, and I mean no one, would have in fact filed this case. So now we have the FBI going over this again and again and again. And now they're saying, well, the FBI isn't investigating enough people. The FBI is being muzzled. Let's go back. And by the way, I know you've been waiting to talk about this at 580-5436, 580-KIDO over the weekend, and you get tired of talking back to the TV. You get tired of talking back everything else. That's why we're here. But let's go back to what our former vice president had to say about FBI background checks.
The next person that refers to an FBI report as being worth anything obviously doesn't understand anything. FBI explicitly does not, in this or any other case, reach a conclusion. Period. So, Judge, there's no reason why you should know this. The reason why we cannot rely on the FBI report, you wouldn't like it if we did, because it is inconclusive. They say he said, she said, and they said. Period. So when people wave an FBI report before you, understand, they do not reach conclusions. They do not make, as my friend points out more adequate, they do not make recommendations. So, Judge.
There we have it. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. There we have it indeed. Joe Biden talking about this. And this was a rather disturbing confirmation battle that continues. And thanks to squishy Jeff Flake, who is trying to run for office, trying to run for the presidency, we have this thing where all of a sudden it's going to, continue on. And it really shouldn't. This should be over by now. This should be done. And now you have people saying that because Judge Kavanaugh had the audacity to raise his voice, to defend himself that he's a partisan. Well, what's he supposed to do? Just take it?
The FBI will not be questioning those college witnesses who contradict Brett Kavanaugh's testimony about his drinking. Now, isn't that relevant given that there clearly was drinking going on? At least it's alleged at the party.
Now, when was drinking ever a crime in the United States of America? Can anybody tell me?
No, I think you're trying to portray him as a stumbling, bumbling drunk, gang rapist who during high school and college was Bill Cosby. 6 FBI background checks over the years would have uncovered this.
Ryan Grimm, who first wrote about the letter, says that it did not come from Dianne Feinstein's office.
I don't know. All I can tell you is it came from somebody with a political motive. There were 3 people that had the letter, people in Feinstein's office, the congresswoman from California, and Miss Katz and the legal team. No friend would do this to Dr. Ford. I believe her when she said she wanted to remain anonymous. I'm shocked. Not one media outlet's reporting the fact during the hearing she didn't know that the committee was willing to go to California. Again, if the shoe were on the other foot and Republicans had done this, we would be destroyed, would be under ethical investigation. So I'm going to make sure that when this debacle's over, that we look at what happened to deter it in the future. Now I'm going to look into the process that led to this debacle, to the effort to destroy this good man. A lot of people believe it's a noble cause to take down Kavanaugh. A lot of people in your business will never give scrutiny to people who try to take down a conservative. That's too bad, but I'm going to give it scrutiny.
And there we have it. Let's get to your phone calls. We start with Liberty Linda. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Welcome to Monday.
Yes, what a Monday. Thank you, Kevin. Anyway, I did not think Dr. Ford was credible. After watching her for only a few minutes, I turned to my sister and I said, I believe she has some type of psychological problem. And I believe that she's on drugs, whether it's under a doctor's care or her own. The way she demanded coffee right away and then she was glunking down Coke later. I've fought cases in court many times. Even if you're nervous, you don't have to do that. You don't have to act that way. They would not. They said that her medical records were closed. Kevin, why would they say that? Why are they closed? I'd like to see her medical records. Anyway, I believe it will all come out that she is having problems and she's under a doctor's care. And then, after Brett Kavanaugh's testimony, we all thought, okay, this circus is over. No one could have been more credible than he was until the circus we saw later. Flake going downstairs and his best friend, Coons, who had just said, we have to save Roe versus Wade. And that if they didn't, women would be delivering their children in the streets. Now, what is this all about? That's the whole question. And also, yes, Dr. Ford did receive almost $3 million from that group in California. So that's where we're at right now.
Well, I go back to, with the president, who leaked it? Who leaked it? And this just didn't happen. Somebody leaked it.
Absolutely. It's the whole country is going through this. We're with Kavanaugh and his wonderful family. How can they put such a man with such high integrity through this? But we are going through this. Each one of us, everyone that calls into your show. I mean, this is something that's unbelievable in our country that's happening right now. And what Flake did, since Coons is his best friend, we can see what's going on there as well. And that he doesn't have to be reelected again. And, it's just unbelievable. But yet, it is happening. So we have to believe it. So anyway, that's the way I feel. And we have to take our deep breaths. I guess that's all we have to do right now, Kevin.
Indeed. Liberty Linda, thank you for the call.
Thank you, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So over the weekend, I guess we should start calling this review and commentary on the weekend shows. You've got John Dickerson of CBS. Now, Dickerson really doesn't do much. Apparently, he lost it with Tom Cotton. Let's take a listen.
Forward here. And you're saying basically she said nothing credible. How can women come forward if when they do, they're told they're not credible? So that a woman thinking about coming forward will have it immediately turned into a partisan issue, as you've done it. Her issues are not being discussed by you. You haven't discussed them since you've been here.
I don't know what the FBI is going to find that the committee has not already found. The committee staff has already interviewed all the witnesses that Ms. Ford cited. They interviewed Ms. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh for 6 hours.
Well, they haven't interviewed
Thursday.
Mr. Judge. He sent them a letter. That wasn't an interview. So you're not right about that.
So they've either interviewed them or they've received letters under penalty of perjury.
Well, that's different. Now these are actual interviews.
So I'd be surprised if any of these people, under penalty of perjury, change their statements that they've already given to the judiciary.
Well, surprised, but that's why we have investigations.
See, again, just the lack of respect for Senator Cotton here. And I don't know where these people come from. And look, CBS should not be on the high horse considering their chairman just got the boot for what he did with the women, reportedly. And here we have people going out. So what we're saying here in our society today is that you can accuse someone with no collaboration and they're guilty if they're a man.
Stuff to the ground, have a neutral fact pattern. Clearly the members of the committee on the Republican side want Kavanaugh to be confirmed. So why should people who want him to be confirmed be in charge of an investigation? Why not have neutral observers wrestle the facts to the ground, which is what's happening now. So it's not a waste of time. If it turns out that he was not truthful about something that has nothing to do with what allegedly happened 36 years ago, truthfulness is still something you want in a Supreme Court nominee, though. Is that relevant?
What are you talking about, John?
But if it turns out in the course of the FBI investigation,
are you siding with the Democrats and they want to have an open-ended fishing expedition?
I think that's not fair, Senator.
I strongly suspect that every statement that was made to the Judiciary Committee under penalty of perjury is the exact same statement that's going to be made to the FBI.
And we'll know.
There we have it. So CBS getting into it. You know, all you have to do is just simply say, well, John, what did you know about your boss, Les Moonves, right? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We are rolling. We are supporting Kavanaugh. We are listening to you. Now, that doesn't mean that if you disagree, that you're not welcome to join us as well. We'd love to get all sides of the story here. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be with you. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. The Kavanaugh controversy continues. They even have a rally in California for Dr. Ford.
We can still do something about it, can't we? Yeah! That's right. On November 6th, we can pay them back in votes! We can pay them back in votes!
Wow. Gotta love the state of California. Coming up, the latest on Judge Kavanaugh. First, let's go to Tom in Nampa with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Tom.
Well, good morning, Kevin. I'm jumping in here pretty early this morning because I figure the calls will really pack up later. I didn't call Friday for that very reason. I listened to the hearings, entire thing Thursday, and just kind of shook my head. There's a lot of holes in her testimony and stuff that just doesn't quite add up. And Rachel Mitchell, nobody seems to be paying attention to what she's had to say. The special prosecutor the Republicans brought in, she reiterated that, too, that she thought that there were a lot of inconsistencies and things that just didn't make it all that credible. But it seems like these people don't want to listen to any of that. Well, for starters, if this alleged attack took place and Dr. Ford is so tore up about it 36 years later, why was she waving to Judge or whatever his last name was, Kavanaugh's so-called partner in crime here, 6 weeks later at a Safeway parking lot? Wouldn't you think she'd try to avoid him? Doesn't that sound a little strange to you?
I would agree.
And also, she can't tell. She didn't even figure out which year it was until she kind of processed an elimination. Figured, well, she wasn't driving yet because she didn't have a driver's license, so it had to be 1982. You know, different traumatic things that happen in a person's life, you're more apt to remember, you know, pretty much the exact time of when it happened. And she couldn't tell how she got there, how she got out of there once she got free. So, you know, I don't know. It just didn't stack up. And she just seemed so pathetic sitting there that I agree with a couple other callers that I think she's under medication, and which is no crime to that. I've had that myself over times, periodically. I just don't think that, just seemed like such a shrinking vital. Why would somebody be that tore up 36 years later to talk about this? Has she been holding this in like this and on a day-to-day basis, distraught because she's a psychology professor at University of Palo Alto, and I don't know. I think maybe people ought to check out her background a little more too. So I don't know. It just doesn't stack up. And all these people that want to believe her wanted to believe her anyway. They don't want Kavanaugh on the court. Now, for Kavanaugh, I don't think he needed to get quite as angry as he did. I think when he was asked by the Democrats, several on the committee there, if he personally would invite a FBI report, I think he just should have said, bring it on. I think that would have helped him a lot more. And we have it anyway. And Trump has said, you know, it's not going to be just on this particular accusation. But I think get it over with in a week, and let's get on with the vote. Let's see what turns up. It may not be anything conclusive. And if it isn't, and it just corroborates what he said so far by these sworn statements that people have given under penalty of perjury, which is a felony, then the Democrats haven't got a leg to stand on, but they still aren't going to be satisfied. They're going to dance around this thing and try to stall this nomination. I disagree totally with pro-life on this, that they ought to keep it going until the midterms, because what's there to hold it up if indeed there's nothing new turned up? So get on with it, and maybe they'll vote by the end of the week. And
well, they better.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
They better, Tom. I appreciate the phone call. Anything else?
My goodness, you're giving me all kinds of time, aren't you? No, I can't think of anything. I do tell you, the way those women accosted Flake in that elevator, and him just to stand there like a whipped puppy, that wasn't impressive in the least to me. I just thought he didn't handle that very well at all. I wouldn't have stood there and put up with that. I'm not sure I would have lashed back, but I don't think that was appropriate at all. And these two women are being hailed as heroes for what they did to Flake. And I don't know, where's a man in this world stand anymore if they can be browbeat like that and just brought down to such a level?
Tom,
I don't know. It's not a very good time for men right now.
I totally agree, Tom. Thank you for the call.
All right, sure.
Traffic and weather together.
Larry Gabbard.
Thank you, Larry. I was dreaming about rain last night. And Jim Risch, for some reason. David in Nampa, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, David.
Yes, hello?
Go ahead, please, sir.
Yeah. Again, last week, quote, he that taketh a pitch shall fall therein. We now have Anita Hill being sexually harassed by 6 months before she went to work with him. Sarah Palin banning books that hadn't been published for 4 more years. Ann Coulter plagiarizing something that hadn't been written for 3 years. Donald Trump harassing a woman on an airline out of a second base, on an airplane, rather, that the airline stopped using. And now this conversation in the Safeway. Yeah, some rude person found out that Safeway wasn't built for 4 years. So, look, oh, by the way, guess who her brother is? He's a lawyer who works with our favorite organization. Just ask Tor Halberstam. I'll get to who he is in a minute. Fusion GPS. Remember Fusion GPS, the people who brought you the PP papers? Remember them?
Yep.
Who's Tor Halberstam? Well, he's a man that Fusion GPS didn't like. So they started a story that was innuendo, that he was a really bad guy. He was like a child pornographer and a sex trafficker. Now, on page, 22,000 of that article, back in the, billionth paragraph, it'll say this is only an allegation. Okay, there was some circulation that had, 4.5 people reading it. But it's a news outlet. Then what they did was they got their aggregators to make, 500,000 or 2/3 requests for that specific story. So now whenever you Google Tor Halberstam, that's the first or second thing that pops up, that he's a child pornographer or sex trafficker or whatever. Okay. That's who Fusion GPS is. So we have Tor Halberstam, we have the PP Papers, and now we have 3 strikes, and I think they're out, and there really needs to be an investigation. I know people like Maisie Haracist. I mean, did I say Haracist? I meant Hirono, who says, I believe her. Why? Her story isn't believable. And I'm sorry. And she's had other inconsistencies, like, she was fighting in 2012 about having 2 front doors instead of 1, when in fact her house was built in 2008 and they do have 2 front doors. And little things like that are coming out. So this is a nightmare. And these people, I'm sorry. And the sad part is the prostitutes, the guiltiest people in the universe, are just letting it happen.
Indeed, David, thank you for listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Let's find out what's happening in your world. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
Thank you, Dave Ramsey. Let's go to London. Simon Owen joining us. I'm sitting here watching Al Roker's piece from the Today Show that happened to be visiting Boise. So Alexander the Great and Simon Owen, how did I get them mixed up? Simon, good morning.
Morning, Kevin.
So Alexander the Great, Macedonia votes on a name change for several reasons. Just how prominent is this? How big a deal is this?
Yeah, an unusual vote here yesterday. I'm actually speaking to you from the Macedonian capital, Skopje, where people went to the polls all day yesterday, not to elect lawmakers, but instead to answer the question of whether they think their country should change its name. It's an unusual vote, and it would see Macedonia, if this went forward, becoming North Macedonia. Now, to some people, that's not a huge change. They're okay with it. For some people, they are not okay with it. Certainly not. One man told me yesterday, it's stupid. He said, all of my ancestors are Macedonian. They live in Macedonia, and this is Macedonia. So there are pretty passionate feelings about this. But the background for why this country is doing something so dramatic as changing its name is that there is a long-standing dispute with Greece, which is just to the south. And ever since Macedonia gained independence from Yugoslavia in 1991, Greece has protested the name that it chose because Greece has a province that's also called Macedonia. And the Greeks believe that this is some kind of claim on their territory. And so Greece is blocking Macedonia from joining NATO and potentially the European Union. So after 27 years of arguing and deadlocked talks, the governments of Greece and Macedonia decided they would hold this vote yesterday. The United States, the Trump administration, has thrown its weight behind the name change and is saying this would be an historic opportunity for a brighter future. Bit of an East versus West tussle here. Does Macedonia stay kind of alone in Eastern Europe to an extent, or does it look much more westward with NATO and EU membership? Well, the United States says it should look to the west. Now, the results came in late last night. It was around 91% in favor of the name change, but the turnout was only 36%. So both sides are now claiming victory, and we're in this kind of twilight zone where everyone's going to say that they won. And one man I spoke to yesterday, I was saying, gosh, this is a complicated situation, isn't it? And he just said, in the Balkans, everything is complicated.
Kind of like in Russia.
Well, I mean, this is an area that has been, in some ways, within Russia's sphere of influence for a long time, or at least it was. And so the US has been suggesting that the Russians have been playing more of a role in the referendum campaign here than they would care to admit. Essentially, the allegation is that they've been funding opposition groups and trying to stir up the no vote in the hope of thwarting further NATO expansion. Now, Russia denies that it's meddling, but there is a bit of a decision here in that is Macedonia going to take these Western institutions on board? Is it going to join these big clubs? Or is it going to stay on its own? And I've got to say, there's a lot of, as in any country you go to, there's a lot of national pride behind this. And so some people say, absolutely no way, I'm not voting for this. But I spoke to a number of people yesterday who did vote in favour of the name change. But they said they were doing it with a heavy heart. And a lot of people talked about this being, they believe that it's being in the EU would bring more opportunities for their kids. And so they don't want to see their country's name changed, but they're willing to do it if it brings prosperity. And that's what their government is claiming this name change would bring.
Well, it's interesting that, as you said, it goes back to, Alexander the Great, and such rich history there, and amazing that they would think about doing that after all these years, Simon.
Yeah, I mean, Macedonia it's got some title like it's the oldest human civilization on earth or something like that. This is an extraordinary place, but the Kingdom of Macedonia that refers to was far greater, far bigger than Macedonia today. And this was the northern part of it. And so some people have kind of made peace with this change by saying, well, if you look at where the ancient Kingdom of Macedonia was, this is the north part of it, so maybe North Macedonia is okay. Ever since they gained independence from Yugoslavia, the official name of this country is, you have to take a deep breath for this, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia. They are saddled with that, and this is an opportunity to shed that for something shorter. But for a lot of people, it's too much of a compromise. It's a capitulation to Greece. Even the Greek president said that he would not vote in this ballot, and he said it was just an historical act of sabotage, and he wouldn't do it. But yeah, it's a place of extraordinary history, and Alexander the Great is claimed by both Greece and Macedonia. If you look at where Alexander was born, it is in modern-day Greece, but the Macedonians are keen to keep hold of him as well. And then over the years, they've not been shy here of rattling Greece's cage about this, knowing that it provokes the Greeks. Macedonia named its international airport after Alexander the Great. It named a main road that runs to the Greek border after Alexander the Great. And so there have been these, what some would call provocations over the years. But the government of today here in Skopje says that it's time that the name was changed. But they've not got the result in this referendum that they and the Trump administration were hoping for.
Simon, have a good time. We appreciate you on the road this week. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Simon Onan joining us live exclusively from Macedonia. That's what you get when, with our affiliate with Fox News Radio. We're everywhere, or they're everywhere. Phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Former prosecutor Joe diGenova, who was once in the running to be Donald Trump's lawyer, had this to say considering the testimony of Dr. Christy Blasey Ford yesterday on the Fox News channel.
Quite frankly, her testimony the other day was far from credible. She's a very, very disturbed woman with clear emotional and psychological problems. This is a 55-year-old adult, quote unquote, who testified like an adolescent. Not a single corroborating detail. She lied to the committee. She said that she didn't know that the committee had offered 3 times to come visit her in California. Now, we know that her lawyers knew that offer had been made because they told the committee that they knew it. So that means she's either dumb as a post or she lied to the committee under oath. And according to Richard Blumenthal, that stellar legal star, Senator, if you've lied once, then everything you've lied about should not be believed. I think that Christine Blasey Ford is a very, very sad woman, and not a thing that she said should be believed, and none of it has been corroborated.
And there we have it from our friend Chuck Ambrose, former boss, Joe diGenova, laying the smackdown. Now, I'm sure people are going to be ripping Joe, but here we are. Let's get the latest concerning the Kavanaugh investigation. Where are we this week? Let's go to our own Doug Luzader from KIDO Talk Radio on Fox News Radio.
The investigation into the accusations against Brett Kavanaugh is underway. The president, though, is acknowledging that for many it may not be enough. And some staunch opponents of the Kavanaugh nomination are questioning the one-week timeline that was part of a last-minute agreement last week.
That brings us to the crux of whether or not this FBI investigation is going to be thorough.
The ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, meantime, Senator Dianne Feinstein, is asking the White House what exactly the FBI's marching orders really are, and Republicans, meantime, want to know who it was or what office it was that leaked the identity of Kavanaugh accuser Christine Blasey Ford in the first place.
And the president jumped into the case. By the way, let's get your phone calls. Don't be shy. 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
I'd like to find out who leaked the papers. Was it Senator Feinstein? Because certainly her body language was not exactly very good when they asked her that question. So I would like to find out, as part of it, who leaked the papers. Which Democrat leaked the papers? Did you leak the document? What? No. No. I didn't leak. Well, wait 1 minute. Did we leak? No, we didn't leak it.
There we have it. The president on the case. Now, if you did watch 60 Minutes last night at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you had the wonderful Senator Chris Coons of Delaware on.
He was clearly belligerent, aggressive, angry, and I thought there was...
Right, he was belligerent because you smeared him, you made up things about him, you destroyed his family. Should he just go, happy day? Happy day? Happy day? Should he have been sedated? Should he have been under medication? No, Brett Kavanaugh was doing what men do. He was fighting for his family, which unfortunately has become necessary in all of this. And there, well, he can't be impartial. How many cheeks does he have to turn? He's run out of cheeks to turn.
A tough dynamic there. As I watched him, part of me thought, this is a man who believes that he did nothing wrong and he's completely unjustly accused and he's being railroaded and he's furious about it.
Yes, I would agree with that. By the way, coming up, the plot to target Jeff Flake. We'll give you the details in a minute. First, Dave in Meridian with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Kevin. Hey, man, I just want to point out, of course he acted that way. Of course he was pissed off. I'm fired up. I'm getting sick and tired of all the analysis and all the back and forth and, I think this. You know what? The dude got attacked. Conservatives need to get fired up. They need to stand up. Let everybody on earth know that you're a conservative. Stop tiptoeing around. Stop being a whiner about it. If you're a closet conservative listening to this show, step up, step out. I don't care if you got to wear a shirt. I don't care if you got to spread it on Facebook. I don't care what you got to do. Let everybody know that conservatives are here, that we're strong, and that we are the majority. I don't know, man. I'm tired of all the he said, she said on this. This is so obviously a hit job on Kavanaugh. It's not even funny, man. I mean, anybody with a brain knows that. Dude, I mean, seriously, who gives a rip what happened between two kids, man? I mean, if we're going to go after every dude that ever tried to make out with a girl in high school, good heck, man, every guy in America is going down.
Agreed.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know, man. That's like you said. Of course he went after it. That's what men do. And Jeff Flake, I've never been more ashamed of a guy in my life. That was pathetic. Anyways, that's all I got for you, man. Hope you have a good day. Appreciate what you do.
All right. Thank you, David. Appreciate you listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Jeff Flake, by the way, the libs admitted that he was targeted. They targeted him because he could be wishy-washy. And last night he was on 60 Minutes giving his soliloquy on why he flipped, why he demanded this delay, this FBI investigation, which really, what are we going to do? I love what Kavanaugh said last week. I'm on a boat. I'm in Colorado. I'm in Rhode Island. It's really absurd.
As it went on, I think his interaction with some of the members was a little too sharp. But the statement at the beginning, I thought, was pretty raw, but in keeping with someone who had been unjustly accused.
Right. So here you have it. They're mad at Kavanaugh now for defending himself. They're mad at Kavanaugh for having the audacity to say, stop the insanity. We'll talk about it next. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
First 100 days as president have been difficult. I lost my husband. We were about to celebrate 30 years together.
Your husband and I had an agreement.
Francis is dead.
Promises
Bill.
were made.
Not by me. Here's the thing. Whatever Francis told you the last 5 years, don't believe a word of it.
The reign of the middle-aged white man is over.
You thought you got away with it all, Claire. But that remains to be seen.
The bodies. And there we have it, the House of Cards premiere on Netflix. Don't you love the overt, for lack of a better term, racism from Claire Underwood? The reign of the middle-aged white man is over. In fact, I don't know how many of you watch the HBO show Ballers. When we talk to Lars Larson coming up today, we'll talk to him a little bit about it. But again, you have the protagonist in the show, The Rock. He's seated at the NCAA. They've caught him cheating. And all he can say is, you are a bunch of corrupt old white men. This does not bode well for the country. This does not bode well for the country when you have licensed, sanctioned racism disguised as entertainment. I've fought this for years on local radio, network television. I remember the folks used to laugh at me about this, but, you know, being the vanguard of this stuff has to stop is just crazy. It is such the wrong message. And if America is so bad, how can all these people that have been victimized by this system that says oppresses them be given such great opportunities, earn such great opportunities through the meritocracy of our beautiful nation? Folks, that's why we're here today, to remind everybody of the goodness, because everybody else, they're negative Nellies. And that is being generous today, I suppose. Traffic and weather together. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:57.
Devin's Eric Everett.
Larry, thank you very much. Coming up next, our friend Dave Petzel will join us. We will talk a little money news. In addition to that, the latest on politics throughout the morning. And you don't want to miss our friend Lars Larson, who will join us as we roll along. And get this, don't forget, at KIDO Talk Radio, we have the KIDO Talk Radio app. You can take us anywhere. That's right, anywhere, anytime, across the country, around the world, or even down the block. Check it out now, KIDOTalkRadio.com, to get your KIDO Talk Radio app. It is free. Fox News next on your home for Fox News on the radio, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.